Hello, everyone. I'm Olivia, and I am currently at the Orange County Indian dealership. And I've never been here before. It's a really beautiful place. And we also have Porsche Taylor here. You're in the flesh. You are an ambassador, so of course we had to come here so we could see all the beautiful bikes here.
Of course.
So Porsche, please introduce yourself. What do you do? Where are you from? And how did you get into motorcycles?
So my name is Porsche Taylor. I'm the owner of Black Girls Ride magazine. It's become a movement over the years of female motorcyclists all over the country. I'm originally from Hawaii, but raised in Los Angeles, SoCal. And I'm an Indian motorcycle ambassador. I love it. Love Indian motorcycle. They make great, great products. And how did I get into motorcycling? It's kind of a weird story. So I was working for a company and I got a bonus one year. And it was either buy a big screen TV or buy a bike. I'd always loved motorcycles, but you know, it's always seems like a small way off idea, like something that would be cool to do, you know. And my cousin invited me to go see a movie called Biker Boys.
Okay.
And the unique thing about Biker Boys was in the movie there were women riding their own bikes, and that was really inspiring and encouraging. Mm-hmm. So I figured if they could do it, I could do it. And I leaned in and I bought the bike, and I just really haven't looked back.
Okay, and how long ago was that?
So that would have been about 20 years ago in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a vet at this point, a couple decades in?
Couple of decades in, yeah.
And what was your first bike that you got?
I had a Ninja 600, Kawasaki Ninja 600.
Okay, a little sport bike going on. And then you transitioned all the way to Indians.
Yeah.
So what's been your whole process with bikes and what
progression? Yeah. So I started on that Ninja and I loved it. Mm-hmm. It was just enough speed, just enough agility. And then I did what all first-time bike owners do. I let someone borrow it, and they dropped it. And then once you get your bike dropped, it just kind of doesn't feel the same anymore. So I bought a new bike. I bought the Suzuki 750, the Gixxer 750, which I really liked for weight and power ratio. It was great. It was a great bike, but it got stolen. And so my cousin said, this is the same one who introduced me to bikes in the first place. He was like, well, I'm selling my Busa. If you want to buy my Busa, you can buy it. And I'm like, I don't know, it might be too much bike. He was like, no, you can handle it. You can totally handle it. So I did. I bought his Hayabusa Suzuki, and I rode that for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then I had a motorcycle accident. And at the time, I had met a friend of mine who was working with BMW, and she offered me an opportunity to ride a BMW. And so I rode the BMW R1200 RT, which I really liked. It's a great bike for long distance riding. It was super comfortable. And so I worked with BMW for a while, and then I did some events with BMW and Indian, and I had a chance to ride the Indian, and it was just really well balanced. I love the look. I love the amount of storage. And then I went first to Victory, but then I transcended over to Indian, and I really liked it. I've been on Indians ever since.
Okay, well, It's quite fitting that we're here then, and you're an ambassador. And you're also the founder of Black Girls Ride magazine. Yes. So talk about why and how did this start?
So Black Girls Ride started on January 1st, 2011. I just had an epiphany. I was kind of at a crossroads in my career, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I read a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
I love that book. One of my favorites.
Yeah. And it really talked about chasing your passion and following your passion, instead of just kind of spinning your wheels, doing what you can do instead of doing what you love. Mm-hmm. And so I took that day and I just really thought about things that I really loved. And it came out of that idea. And the idea originally was to become like Super Sport Bike meets Essence magazine, right? And we did the printed book for a while and transitioned over to online. So everything's online now. And the goal was to show Black women who were riding because we knew we were a part of the community, but there was no evidence of us. You couldn't see us in commercials or media or advertising or, anywhere really. And so I knew that instead of complaining, I just wanted to build something. I'm a graphic designer by trade, so it wasn't hard for me to kind of put the imagery together. And I built the website and everything, and we've just been off and running since then.
And is that your the main thing you're doing right now with the magazine? Is that your priority with your career right now?
It is. I have another day job, right? But this is definitely priority.
Okay.
And I really like doing events and bringing women together. I like the educational part of being mentors for newer riders, and just being a safe space online for women to ask questions about motorsports. And I'm excited about the influence that we've had on the industry. When I started in 2011, like I said, there wasn't much visibility, but now in 2023, I'm happy to say that almost every OEM manufacturer has had a Black female ambassador. So I'd like to think that we had something to do with that in growing the community and just adding more visibility.
And I think that's such a great initiative because you're taking your passion, your love for motorcycles, and you created something with so much love. And you've created this great community, and you're inspiring women to get involved. So it has become such a vibrant platform. So your magazine, and for storytelling and fostering connections amongst women and Black women.
Sure.
So can you share a memorable story or an interaction within the community that's just really stuck with you and that you're really proud of?
Man, there's quite a few. We've done some really awesome rides. Last year we did a breast cancer ride in LA. I had actually found out that I was sick and I had an ovarian cyst. It turned out to be like a 5-pound
Oh my goodness.
ovarian cyst. I had found out about a couple of weeks before the ride, but we did the ride anyway, and there was just so much love and support from all of the riders in the community. That's ovarian cancer is something that is affected my family in various generations. So that's always going to be kind of a passion for me. But that's one. Another would be the ride to the March on Washington that we did in 2020, where we rode across country from California to Washington, D.C. And picked up riders along the way and rode through D.C. and actually spoke at the Lincoln Memorial. That's another huge memory.
What did you guys speak about for that ride? What was the initiative for that?
So what was happening in the country, obviously we were having some challenges with police brutality, with just the whole idea that Black Lives Matter. And I know that can be a touch point for a lot of folks. But what we realize is that motorcycling brings us all together. It doesn't matter race, creed, color, gender. The road doesn't discriminate. Right. And so along that ride, as volatile as the country was at that time, we were met with nothing but love and respect all across the country at every gas stop. It didn't matter what your politics were. We just all kind of bonded under the guise of motorcycling. And so if we can look past our differences on the road, it just gave me hope that we could look past our differences in other areas.
And I think that's what one of the great things about this community is with motorcycles. You do feel a lot of, embrace from people because we all love the same thing. We all love two wheels, and it brings us together. We go to these rallies. It truly doesn't matter. And I think that's one really great thing about the motorcycle community that maybe the average person doesn't realize until you are
until you're a part of it. Yeah,
that's right. So you said that's really taught you a lot about the world and the community. So I want to know, what's another thing motorcycles have really taught you about yourself that you didn't know until you got involved with this community?
Motorcycling is an empowering activity. You have to overcome lots of different fears to even see yourself in the saddle. You got, you're kind of open air. You're very vulnerable, if you will, on the road. So in order to ride, you find an internal strength, and that transcends into other aspects of your life. And sometimes I have to, when I'm having a bad day, I just have to get on a bike and just allow myself to commune and have that meditative spirit of being on the bike and able to kind of block out all the noise. And it allows me to have my one-on-one talks with God and really refocus and repurpose who I am. And so that's something that motorcycling brought into my life that I wasn't expecting.
Okay.
You know, I kind of expected, just from what you see, the camaraderie, the group rides and things like that. But it's really the meditative spirit that a long distance ride can give you. It's something that I've learned about over the years of just riding.
You really do have to think, especially if you don't have like a cardo or something, which I don't ride with, and I do find myself thinking more. And people are afraid of thinking and getting inside their head, and that's a really great point you bring up, because we really do. We think, and it brings us together in our head to some degree, and
it's
meditative.
It's the one position where you can afford to be a little bit self-focused and self-centered, because you know, we deal with our jobs, we deal with our kids, we deal with our, you know, our elders, we deal with our marriages, where you have to consider everyone but yourself. But when you're on the bike, you really have to take the time to make sure that you're safe, and to consider what's going on immediately around you. And then it gives you the time to kind of focus inward. And especially when you're on like really remote long distance rides, right? It's that moment of seeing the beauty of the country and realizing that there's a higher power that created this, and connecting with that higher power in what that purpose is for you.
Right.
You know, and it just really opens your mind up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think a lot of people can really agree with you on that one, especially when you're out on the long distance roads. I'm not talking about, you know, in the street.
In the traffic, you're just trying not to get killed.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, you're over focused on the road, but you're not really taking that inward look. So again, we are here at the Orange County Indian Motorcycle Dealership, and you are an ambassador. So talk to me a little bit about how you became that full-time ambassador, and what was something unique that you brought to this position? So,
you know, to be an Indian ambassador is really just living the lifestyle. You know, the thing that I love about being an ambassador is they really just want you to showcase who you are in the community, showcase the bike and how much fun you're having on it as you're riding and connecting with your community. And if you have an opportunity to introduce someone new to motorcycling, you introduce the Indian brand, which is a really cool thing. I think what I bring to the ambassador program is kind of the wealth of experience that I have gained over these last 20 years on the road, knowing what a woman might look for in a long distance bike, and showcasing how Indian has engineered great machines to provide that. And also just talking about the value that you get from the Indian brand. The one thing that I really love about being an Indian ambassador is the way they treat the owners. It's a family. And, you know, this being an Indian rider, you're already standing outside the norm. And you're on a bike that doesn't look like everybody else's bike.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is a great thing, because you get to showcase your individuality just by being an Indian owner. And then the way that they have so many different ways for you to customize it and make it your own. You know, it takes it that one step further.
Okay, and you know, there's a lot of pride there with your bike, and it makes sense why you're an ambassador. So I'd like to know, what bike are you riding right now?
I have a 2021 Indian Challenger named Goldie.
Goldie, nice. I like that.
You know, that's my most prized possession. We've been on coast-to-coast rides all over the country, and she's never failed me.
Nice.
Never let me down.
That's good. That's, you know, everyone needs a Goldie in their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I say is, you know, you take care of your bike will take care of you. You
absolutely.
Know? I'm a proud Indian owner.
Okay, that's great, awesome. And you have said that you've been on the road for 20 years. you've had an accident. So tell us a little bit about one of your worst accidents you've had, and what did you learn from it?
Well, in actually 2021, I had a terrible accident. I was on a cross country ride coming from Long Beach, California, going to Florida.
Okay.
And in the middle of Texas, a wall of fog came up, and I couldn't see. I just couldn't see my hand in front of my face. And the road took a bend. And I'm on my bike is about 900 pounds. I'm loaded down with all of my stuff for this coast to coast ride. And I ended up on the trucker divots on the side,
Oh, yeah.
and that caused the bike to go into an uncontrollable wobble. And so I ended up in a ravine, and it launched me, and I flew. Luckily, I landed on the grass, and I tumbled, and I was banged up pretty bad, but no brakes. But because I was fully geared up, I always, when I ride cross country, I have my full face helmet, my jacket with the armor. I had these same boots on. That's why I bought them again, because they actually saved my leg from being shattered.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I swear by the CD boots.
CD, okay, nice.
Yeah, what I learned was anything can happen. Even if you are an experienced rider, there are still things that you don't know that can happen to you. I learned that all the gear all the time is a good thing. Even if you're going, short distances or even in hot weather, wearing armor, but especially if you're on a cross-country ride, is a good thing. And I learned that you better have somebody's phone number memorized. In this day and age of technology, my phone is still somewhere in the middle of the 10 freeway in Texas. But luckily I had a phone number memorized and was able to let my family know.
That's good advice.
What was going on.
Nobody has those old books anymore. You used
phone books.
Nobody uses those anymore.
The thing is, when you get separated from whatever is on your body in a crash, you just never know. So commit one phone number to memory, and whether it's your spouse or your mom or whoever, just commit one phone number to memory just in case you go down and
lose a phone.
You need to let folks know what's going on with you.
Yeah, I like that one. I haven't heard that one before, and I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So from your experience with building an empowered female biker community, what strategies and approaches have been most effective in building and sustaining a supportive and engaged community?
That's a great question. I think being open for everyone in the community to have a voice. We have a great Facebook group where we welcome everyone to post and share their riding experiences, to be mentors to newer riders, to talk about their riding, their long distance rides, their events, share their flyers, and just kind of let it kind of grow. The other thing I would say is to keep it about the ride. A lot of folks, a lot of times, different dramas or outside entities can corrupt something. But if you keep it about the ride, keep it about motorcycling, I think it has a chance to grow and be a comfortable, safe space for folks. Keep it a positive group, right? Don't allow bike shaming, or because there can be a tendency to say, well, if you ride this kind of bike or if you ride that kind of bike, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, we all started at mile one. Yep. So I've always wanted the Black Girls Ride group and events to be all inclusive. And even though it's a space for African American women, all riders are welcome. We have riders of all creeds and colors join us, and everybody's welcome. Okay. And so it's not exclusive as much as it's meant to be an inclusive statement.
Okay, I like that.
Right, so I think that's important to say, because oftentimes we get, it's Black Girls Ride. Are we allowed to come? And you're absolutely allowed to join us. I think it's unapologetically named Black Girls Ride just because when we started, we wanted to make that statement to the community to say, hey, we're here, we're part of the conversation. You know, we make great purchasing decisions, and and we have something to give to the community. But I think that it's always all inclusive, and everyone's welcome to join us.
I like that. Just as inviting as possible.
Absolutely, always as inviting as possible, and you're going to have a great time with us. And you know, when you do have events, just make sure to deliver a good time. You know, deliver a good time. Folks spend a lot of money on riding vacations, whether it's Sturgis or joining us for Essence Fest or whatever you got going on. That's not in a vacuum. You have to recognize that thousands of dollars go into just getting to your location.
Yes, that's very true.
So just make sure that when folks arrive, that it's a welcoming environment and that it's geared for them to have fun.
Yeah, I think that's the key for anything. Like you said, so much money is put into riding, and people want a good time. So be as positive as possible. Coming to these events and inclusive, like you said.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. So can you share some of your future goals and aspirations for the magazine or yourself in your personal life? And how do you envision just everything evolving in years to come?
That's another great question. This is one of those years where, you know, I'm making some changes. And so it's something that I constantly am thinking about. Our goal is to start to reach some of those communities. So Black Girls Ride has become international with readers in Trinidad and Tobago, in Dubai, and kind of all over the world. And so our goal is eventually to get international and to go and see what it's like to ride in these other communities in these other cities. So that's high on my list of what's coming up in the future. And also to just continue to showcase women riders and to showcase us in a positive light.
Right, okay. So you say more of an international spread. Now, would you want to be doing events up there, or would you want to be creating sort of chapters, so to say?
So it's not a club, and we want to emphasize that because clubs tend to be exclusive, right? When you call something a club, there's a group of people trying to keep other people out, right? So this is more of a movement in that we just want to come to your location and meet you guys and ride with you.
Okay, nice.
You know what I mean? And just anyone can become a part of the movement. It's a free space.
Okay.
You know, and I kind of look at it that way. It's definitely inclusive.
Well, I like what the future brings. It looks like a lot more international riding. Who doesn't want to ride internationally everywhere? I always say everywhere is on my bucket list. So
it absolutely
that's great. So my last question, I would love for you to just send us off with words of wisdom or the best piece of advice you've ever got. And I would love to end off on that.
I think the best piece of advice that I've ever got was to ride your own ride. Whatever that means to you, you can interpret it in various ways, but especially for newer riders, when you get into motorsports, people are going to want to hurry you along, and they're going to want to tell you what you should be riding and how fast you should be going. And I think it's important to remain independent in thought when it comes to motorcycling. Make sure you find the bike that fits you, whether it's your style, your ergonomics, your personality. And then when you're planning your trips, take the trip at your pace. If anybody's trying to hurry you along, hey, we've all got technology at this point. Just tell me where the end place is and I'll meet you there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but I think that saved my life a few times where I've been in situations where people wanted me to ride a little faster than I was comfortable with. And I just said, hey, you guys go ahead. And so I would always pass that along as my main advice.
I like that. Just ride your own pace, because then you're staying safe in your own control.
Right.
So that's perfect. Well, thank you so much, Porsche, for your time today. It was great getting to know you more and what you're doing with everything. And I wish you the best and looking forward to interviewing you next time.